Hello. Okay, started recording. Yeah, this is a video log entry 189, and it's about 3:30 p.m. CST. The reason why I didn't post a bit earlier today because I was running some errands. I had a few things to get um, for that picture right over there. I had to get some command strips from the store, and I also had an Ethernet cable that I should have actually bought probably months ago. But I've been looking for different forms of entertainment because, again, I have so much time on my hands, like I mentioned before. So I have to use an Ethernet cable for my TV because my internet or my Wi-Fi wasn't working. I had some issues, and I didn't bother calling the IT people. I called them once, and they asked me about like general diagnostics, like resetting the router and all that other normal things that you would do the first time you encounter errors when it comes to your Wi-Fi. And they never changed the password and all that, so I just decided to get another net cable for it. Even though it has a capability to use Wi-Fi, but it's actually, personally, I think the Ethernet cable is a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about the password and whatnot. So that would be annoying because, like, I don't know if like there's like a power outage and there's like something annoying happens and you have to retype the password. I personally think it's just nicer that way. Yeah, I think today was like a catch-up day for me. With a lot of errands I had to run. I went to the grocery store today as well. I was just kind of brainstorming on my whiteboard as usual. I do that a lot. I always like write and rewrite things and erase things and rewrite and just over and over and over again. Because again, I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist. Although I did fuck up on my on my little. You can kind of see it's I can't like my finger goes right there. That one right there. You can see the command strips right there, and holy shit, this is actually a lot harder. Anyways, yeah, it's up there. Yeah, so the command strips are kind of fucked up. I added, for some reason I felt like centering it as opposed to actually like pushing it more towards the center of the picture as opposed. That sounds contradictory, but what I mean is like aligning it with the frame and perfectly aligned. Yeah, I don't know if that the border of the picture, so it kind of looks weird, and now it's bothering me. I don't know if I don't think it would bother anybody if I decided to have guests here, but it's bothering me right now. I can't stop staring at it. But yeah, so I'm being a little bit OCD about that. I kept like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to fix that. I think I'm just going to leave it as is, to be honest with you. I don't feel like going back to the store to get more command strips just because of a slight error that I made. But yeah, so there's that. I don't know. Like I'm behind on classes for my Bible course. And again, like I don't know if it's like a disinterest thing or if it's just like I just have so many other things that my brain wants to do as opposed to doing that. Like I don't know. Since I'm a line cook, I'm more invested and focused in like I don't know. I seem to be more interested in like other things as of now, but I still try to attend the course as much as possible. But like around 7, I tend to consume different forms of information. Primarily through YouTube and books that I get from the library here and there. I just got another book called Reboot by this guy named Jerry Colonna. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a book on like just like leadership and like the art of growing up and just being generally more responsible as you get older, right? Like I'm 28 years old and well, I'm hyper aware of myself, so I know there are a lot of areas in which I can improve. When it comes to adulthood, although I think I'm fairly well-rounded, there are like things here and there like anybody else. So I try not to think about it too hard and just allow life to kind of flow through me as opposed to like trying to strategize everything. Although it is my modus operandi in most cases, but there are times for strategy, and times when you shouldn't be using it. So. Yeah. So, yeah, there's that, and I just started drifting off again. I don't know, my brain's been scattered, which is why I'm trying to absorb information more organically instead of being on my phone all the time. I don't know, when you're not that, again, like this is normal for anybody, when you have time that isn't used by hobbies or more productive things, you tend to be on your phone a lot. And I again, like that's why I'm trying to quickly come up with new routines before I get into this bad loop of using my phone. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily impulsive, but when you're stuck at home a lot, it's really hard not to look at your phone at times. So yeah, I mean that's why I go outside a lot too. I try my best to go outside. Yeah. And the reason why I guess I was, I guess another side tangent is that I'm slightly inspired by this guy that I used to watch here and there. His name is Anakin's Insights. Yes, he's a tarot reader. I find tarot to be a therapeutic form of just, centering yourself in life and giving yourself some form of hope and faith in, the world out, that can't be seen by your physical eyes, at least, right? So I do, I guess you could call me a closet witch, but yes, I do have a tarot deck. Sometimes I like reading tarot here and there. Nobody really knows that, though. I don't tell anybody about that. The closest I get to it is that, yeah, I think esotericism is interesting. But aside from that, I usually just don't say anything about tarot. I think nowadays it's not really seen as voodoo. Everybody, like, I wouldn't say everybody does it, but it's this own niche thing. But I guess if you're considered to be a devout Christian, then yeah, I think some people would probably be against that because it's against like the separation of yourself from God, right? Even though I think it is, I don't know, it's kind of interesting how they express God through the Bible and whatnot, because it looks like they separate God from you, but at the same time, it's not really separated, at least, because from like verses that I've seen, using your, at least there's one thing that I can think of right now is using your body as a temple for God, right? People say that a lot, so you have to keep it clean, properly nourished, and healthy, right? And that's for not just that; it's actually having the right mindset for it too, by being more positive and reading the Word every day. The Scripture to then kind of rewire the neurons in your brain for it to be more susceptible for God to work through you, because for God to work through you, this scripture or the God that they actually insinuate in the Bible, you have to be just there can't be like internal mechanisms that are working against that thing, said thing. And although like this translates, I would say there are a lot of parallels between like Buddhism and that, or at least spirituality, because there are a lot of cases in which you can call it flow or whatever. It's kind of the same thing, right? Like you're kind of, at least sometimes I use mathematical terms. You can call it flow. I like to use a different framework, mathematical framework. That's I wouldn't say it's coined by me, but I like to think of it as like truth vectors. Like there's like a certain ley line that your being can go through, and for your being to go through, you can't use your mind or your ego as much, and you have to let it, I guess, flow down the river, if you want to call it that way. So, yeah, I don't know. Where was I going with that? I was talking about tarot and the Bible and all that, and that's why I like consuming different forms of literature and like religions as well. Like I also I started reading into, well, not reading. I looked at YouTube videos about the Kabbalah and like the left hand path. I decided to take the left hand path. The right hand path is more soft and not as difficult, but for some reason I felt like doing the left hand path, where I am kind of going through the trials and tribulations of life to form a stronger foundation within myself, or to get closer to God, because for you to get closer to God, your ego does have to break down almost completely for you to be rebuilt within alignment with God, I guess, or with alignment with God. So I decided, and of course, going down, through life, eventually your ego is going to break down probably a couple of times, most likely, just because it has to, and just because the mind likes to believe that there aren't things outside of what it can see or perceive, although that is actually completely wrong. So, yeah. I decided to take down the left-hand path to get closer to God, and it's been working out nicely. I've already gone through quite a bit, actually, probably a lot more than what most people would expect for me to have gone through, because, again, I guess people look at my face and they see it looks naive and childish, but and in a lot of cases, I'd rather be more positive than pessimistic or cynical. It's a choice for me to do that. It's not necessarily that I'm unaware of it. It's just a choice, right? So I guess some people just it doesn't click in their brains, which is something I don't really, I kind of like just wave my hand at it and just like move on because it's whatever. I don't really care about what other people think in most cases. So yeah, it's always interesting though. Actually, I had a I remember a coworker that I had this summer was surprised that I was a lot more intelligent than what he originally perceived me to be, because for some reason at work I tend to put myself in this very naive, optimistic, and overly flowy mindset, because it just makes it's a good way of combating pessimism. At the very least, you can brainwash yourself quite easily at a job that you may not like, but you know you have to go through, right? So yeah, it's a way of deterring pain as well. So I don't know. I have a lot to do. I still have to get my transcripts from my previous colleges, so I have to do that, and then I told myself I was going to call both of those colleges so I can get them. I think I have to submit a request for those transcripts, and then they'll probably email it to me, and then I'll be able to submit those transcripts to the website or the portal for NEIU. So that's fun. And I'm using the Common App for that. I think that's like my definite choice is at school, because the tuition is cheap, and I don't care about reputability as much, because the reason for that is because, well, I mean, I'm not getting a professional degree anywhere, and I'd most likely transfer into like another career that doesn't really look at the reputability of that given college, unless, I don't know, like it's just a physics degree, right? Like if I were really serious about computer science or math or physics, and yeah, maybe I would have done that from a bachelor's, but then maybe there's going to be an inflection point in which I'll be more serious, to where I'll choose a better school and I'll transition to one that's probably I can probably see myself being at a top 50 school, because my GPA is actually pretty good in both of them. And then if I'm serious about schooling next semester, the next few semesters at that school I just talked about, it'll look good on my track record. So then I'll be able to probably transition into a more serious school. And then if I decide to actually specialize, and if I specialize, it's probably going to be in physics, most likely. I don't know. I think if I chose, since I like computers and all that, I think I'll probably just do condensed matter or high energy particles. Because I think, well, there's a lot of of course you have quantum computing, and then you still have semiconductors for classical computing, and there's a lot of parallels from physics that can translate to classical computer theory for energy particle physics, right? So I think there's a different name for it, but I call it condensed matter. Maybe there's a different name for it. Somebody that probably understands this more than me would be able to tell me what it is. I haven't thought about this for a long time because I've been focused on other things, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. Like I've been looking. I have a lot of things I want to read though, aside from just physics. I've been looking at. I'm not sure if anybody has heard of this term called tasseomancy. It's actually supposedly I wouldn't say necessarily a ritual. It's a form of divination where you use tea leaves. Which, if you put tea leaves in water, you mix it up, and then you drain the water out, it'll create some kind of pattern, and it could look like something. It's a form of divination, because when you read tarot cards, right? You don't even have to read tarot cards traditionally. You can use your own intuition and what it presents to you as, because divination within itself is a form of interacting with your external environment to confirm what you believe or to have already seen internally. It's a form of confirmation to a degree. It's the same thing with tasseomancy, where it's you see like a picture or a pattern on it that makes you, and you most likely have to think of like the first thing that comes into your mind when you see it, right? So that's a form of divination because it confirms your intuition. So yeah, it's interesting, and they actually had it in Harry Potter, the third one, The Prisoner of Azkaban, where he was in that, I forgot what class that was. It was the lady with the do-rag, right? The crazy lady that got crazy when she saw the wolf in the teacup, which is a grim, I think, is what they called it, which was supposed to be an omen. of his supposed imminent doom or whatever. So yeah. Anyways, I was looking at that, and for some reason, I also I want to read more into Greek mythology, so I'm looking at different books for that, and I'm just absorbing a lot of information on YouTube pertaining to Greek mythology, because why not? I guess I was relatively exposed to it in school when I was younger, but I wasn't necessarily extremely interested in it. But now I want to, and I read a few things here and there. I don't feel like having to share everything because a video could go on for an hour if I decided to do that. So I'll keep that to myself. And I told myself I was going to read Charlemagne, and yeah, I don't know. I just have a lot to read, and aside from technical things, I've been reading history more, and then also I've been, like I mentioned before, I was looking at different videos on international foods and other. Well, again, like I mentioned, I work at a quote unquote Mediterranean. It's more Mediterranean inspired restaurant, so it's fun looking at different cultures of like food and whatnot. So yeah. So a lot of things I need to do. I don't know. I thought there would be more that I have to say, but it seems like I'm kind of just thinking about it's in my own head. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Bye.